Good afternoon, everyone. Time precisely right now is 3 o'clock, and we're just starting up the seminar. So, first of all, I would like to thank everyone, all the panelists and all the attendees who are joining in on this webinar. The webinar is a small initiative from Sotex to create a meaningful engagement with the industry. So before I move into to a panel discussion, I would just like to reiterate a few things, a small set of few etiquettes as to how we are going to be running this particular webinar. We would be, as attendees, people are free to ask questions to all the set of panel. You may post your questions on Q&A side, which is on the bottom of it. In case if you have any opinion or you would like to share out your thoughts, you can share it in the chat box. So basically, the complete webinar has been structured on few grounds, wherein there will be question and answer sessions we are doing with the panel. We are having a chat box, and we would be running a poll wherein the poll screen will come to your, the poll will be shown on your screens. You would be picking up any of the questions. On certain questions, you can pick up any one. On certain questions, you may have the option of picking up multiple choices. And I would request all the panelists as well as attendees if we can have a little undivided attention, because this is a very meaningful and interesting engagement that we are going to have with our set of panelists. So please keep your mobile phones on the silent. On this note, I am just going to be quickly introducing Sotex for the people who do not know what Sotex is and what we are doing. Sotex Network is a tech aggregator platform wherein which is a B2B network having a global connections, wherein we offer smart tech tools through Sotex on sales, sourcing, stock liquidation, and capacity utilization. This is nothing but a unified workflow which helps you outbound on mainly on your sales and sourcing processes, basically with the idea of helping businesses to grow themselves. I'll quickly introduce the panelists here with me today. So we have 5 panelists who are joining it besides myself. We have Mr. Kevin Ireland. He's a director of Pre-Source Global Buying Agency and a partner to Indo-Spanish Marketing Services. He's built up his career over the span of last 30 years. He runs his buying agency with buyers across Europe, South Africa, US, and with a specific concentration to Spain. The second panelist is Mr. Nitin Mohan. Nitin Mohan is the Chief Technology Officer at Triberg Buying Agency. Triberg is the largest buying house in our country, and Mr. Nitin Mohan also is on the governing body of Buying Agents Associations, which is BAA. He has 20 years of experience of building up Triberg. He's apparently a backbone of the complete technology front on the Triberg, mapping each and every activity and helping the teams and the organization to connect with the vendors and the buyers together. Our third esteemed panelist is Dr. Rajesh Bheda. Dr. Rajesh Bheda is the MD and chairperson at Rajesh Bheda Consulting. He is also an ex-professor and chairperson of National Institute of Fashion Technology. He's a textile consultant and is also connected to various international forums, international bodies, is also advising on the government on issues like productivity, quality, and skills. And he's also closely associated with a lot of international fashion brands. Our fourth panelist is Mr. Pramat Kapoor. He is the MD and CEO of Abhinav Apparels. Abhinav Apparels is one of the upgrowing and largest growing garment export houses based out of Greater Noida. He is also exporting to some of the largest brands in the world like Walmart, Primark, Kmart, and is successfully built up and led the complete organization grown from a small export house to fairly a big export house now doing close to about 1 million pieces per month. Our fifth panelist is Mr. Sanjoy Segal. He is the founder and CEO of Accent Software. Accent is also our support partner for this particular event. So Sanjoy is coming with the 25 years of experience from the technology side. He has designed, developed, implemented softwares on PR, PLM, CRM, VRM, POS for customers in US, Europe, Far East, and is presently based out of India. And he has stayed in 3 continents in his professional career. Myself, my name is Sonil Jain. I am the founder of Sotex. I have a qualification as an MBA and had 20 years of experience in the textile industry, where I've gone through and experienced various verticals of the industry from wholesale, manufacturing, exports, retail, B2C online. And I believe that change is the only way to grow in life at this point of time. So before I move on, I have certain things that I would like to talk about, but the reason of putting the complete panel together is to understand their view, thoughts, and processes as to what we can do. I would, at this point of time, put in our first question to the panelists here. How does employee efficiency translates to organizational productivity? So I give this question to all the panelists for them to share out their thoughts so that we can start off in a much more meaningful conversation. I would like to start. Mr. Nitin Mohan.
I too am from the, last 15, 20 years, I've been doing information technology. And yes, I mean, this question is 100% true. Yes, if efficiency obviously will translate into a better productivity. But in my experience, what we have seen that there is a micro level management, there is a macro level management. So for the management part, for example, in a typical buying agency, all the agencies, they have a KPI system which they follow. What I'm trying to say that, again, my experience, because I've been in one company all my life. I mean, I've been in Triberg for more than 20 years now. In fact, I've finished 22 years. So again, my experience is limited to what we are doing at Triberg. I mean, I'll share what we do. We have KPI system and we do on a macro level. We don't police people because we feel in our trade, policing people becomes little negative. And we have seen with a system when we put it around 7-8 years ago, the turnover per employee improved significantly. For example, we were doing X amount of dollars per employee. Now it has come up to X plus X. I mean, it's increased tremendously. And so my take is that management should follow. If they should make the employee efficient in a macro level and let them handle the micro level situation. And that is it. I mean, any questions will be now or later?
At this point of time, I thought of just taking up the questions from the, we'll take the questions from the attendees also, but I would like to have the opinions from all the panelists.
I think Dr. Bheda, Dr. Rajesh will give a more, insight on this because he has all around experience.
So Dr. Rajesh Bheda, I am handing over this question to you as to what do you think is the employee efficiency in terms of organizational productivity at this point of time?
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you, Sotex, for the opportunity. Good afternoon to everybody. and also wishing you on the harvesting season, Bihu, Vishu, Sankranti, all festivals, Baishakhi across the India, Poila Baishakhi in Bengal. So coming to your question, how does the employee efficiency translate to organizational productivity? This is also subject of my research. Yes, definitely employee efficiency does improve the overall organizational productivity, but I would request everybody to look at it a little differently. And I would propose that we say that is the organizational efficiency that helps employees perform productively to their fullest potential. So sometimes we try to look at it in a different way. So it is the organization and the leaders of the organizations, they have to create enabling system so that the people are able to produce to their highest potential. Because many times we tend to put pressure on people to deliver efficiency, but we haven't equipped them, we haven't given them the right kind of tool, and we haven't motivated them. So when the system as a whole works quite well, that time the efficiency will improve substantially. The good news I would like to share that most of the factories almost 50% improvement potential. So as long as we improve the organizational effectiveness and we're able to enable the employees, the productivity will certainly go up. And looking at that from that angle is really good. Joseph Juran and Dr. Deming focused on this area very, very well, saying that don't put, as Nitin said, don't put macroscopic focus on individual, but empower them to be able to deliver efficiency and create organization in an enabling environment. Thank you, if that helps.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Bheda. Can I have this quick share coming from Pramarth? Can I have some thoughts and views about this particular question from you?
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks, Sonil and Sanjoy, for this opportunity. And hi to my friends and colleagues from the industry. These are unprecedented times, and nobody was prepared for this to happen and this to unfold. But we need to be proactive now. And I would think going ahead, customers would want more value as a supplier. They would want it in shorter lead times. They would want innovation in your product, and surely they won't pay for it. So we just don't need to reduce our costs, but we need to also try and upskill our manpower. In any business, as we've studied, time is money, and the upshot being manpower is also money. So in short, I would like to say that, and me being from a factory background, the whole process, automation leading to employee efficiency and organizational productivity is by identifying the value in each process. And that value that is being added becomes a measure for each employee. And that transparency of how you measure that value would lead to employee productivity, leading to organizational. Mr. Bheda has been, I'm sure, for the past couple of decades, leading manufacturing companies too, other than the other organizations he consults with, telling them and teaching them and training them how to reduce. He's actually made it an art form of industrial engineering on the shop floor. But the time now is to employ similar practices at the executive level. Time, action, and management system simulations, all that has been there for a long time. But these need to be analyzed, and every employee needs to be upskilled so that they create their own barometer. They know where they are in terms of what the buyer requires in our case, or the customer in some other case, and figure out themselves what they're doing. I would say upskilling of the workforce and guiding them on the key KPIs are paramount as of now.
Mr. Kevin, would you like to share your thoughts now?
What I'm saying is that the question in itself is very generic. No, so it's the scope to answer is huge, but I think I would go with what Parmarth said. It's pretty obvious. I mean, in the sense, I'd use a blend of both. You know, employee efficiency obviously any increase in that would relate would translate to an improvement in productivity, which what everyone is looking for, because at the end of the day, that's where you make the bucks. Empowerment, enabling people to operate to their optimal levels, the environment being conducive to that, I think that is critical. Micromanagement, I have seen in my own experience that it doesn't work largely because the constant meetings and one-to-ones and so on and so forth, I found it fairly ineffective. Employee efficiency, you've got to motivate them, drive them, incentivize them to perform at their individual optimal levels. You obviously got to put in place a process to weed out those that don't perform efficiently, take action in time, and eventually I think that would lead to the kind of outcomes that you're looking for.
Okay, we have two very interesting questions coming from Mr. Anshul Gupta. Anshul Gupta, he's putting the question to the panelists: how do you ensure employees' motivation in your organization? How do you ensure employees' motivation? And Mr. Akash Gupta is asking what tools are the most important, are the most available for the textile SMEs. So while we go to the tools, which is part of our second side of the panel in our webinar, can we take this question right now from Mr. Anshul Gupta? How do you ensure employees' motivation? Can I just put this question specifically to Mr. Nitin Mohan? You represent a very big buying agency out of India with one of the biggest revenue earners in terms of you're doing about close to $1 billion worth of revenue. So how do you, as such a big organization, as a buying agency, ensure employees' motivation?
See, we completely delegate and empower them. We let them learn through their mistakes. We encourage them to make mistakes, move forward. So our philosophy is total delegation, total empowerment. I mean, that is how, that is how a person takes ownership of what he's doing. And he becomes motivated because the responsibility is totally onto him to take the business forward. And obviously it is followed by incentives and based on the performance you do, but it's total delegated and empowered. I mean, each and every person I'm talking about, even a maybe even a driver, he's also empowered. He takes the buyer on his own to Taj Mahal maybe, So from the lowest mode, the lowest level till the team leaders, they're totally empowered and totally delegated. And that is what Tribag has been successful about.
And can I just ask the same thing with Mr. Pramarth? You have been at the helm of managing such a large workforce. You run about 4 to 5 factories in Noida. How do you ensure employee motivation at your level?
Okay, that's a great question, Anshul. I think so. There is no point in reinventing the wheel. What we do in our organization is we treat every employee as an entrepreneur. We have extreme transparency to what is happening in the business, what needs to be done in the business, what are the cost controls that need to be implemented, and where does each employee, given their skill set, come in, and what is the value they're adding. So it's a complete transparency, and once they know where they fit in, what in the whole wheel, and that's each cog to the wheel, they figure it all figures itself out for themselves, and they get motivated. I have people coming in at 6 in the morning, working late at night, and they do it without a grimace. They are adding value to themselves and further on to the organization. So it's the structure that creates efficiency, and it's the structure that creates the motivation.
I would like to go back to Mr. Rajesh Bheda. Dr. Rajesh Bheda, you have been part of the industry, and you have been from a background where you've handled and you have coached so many students. who are now the owners and business owners and running these organizations as CEOs or at a very senior positions, what do you normally tell to your set of students or the other organizations as to how to ensure there is employee motivation going on, even at certain at this point of the year when the complete things are under lockdown and employee motivation and in fact the business motivation is all going down?
I will thank you. I will sort of share the answer in two ways. One is as far as enterprises that we work with at different organizations. Basically, the motivation comes in from, as Parmarth said, that from the transparency and sharing the vision, that the employees are able to connect to the vision of the organization. Number two is training them and coaching them to be able to do the job, what they have been tasked with, and helping them with self-management so they're able to manage their own emotions and they're able to understand each other and understand that together we make the organization work. So sharing the vision and living the organizational ethos and values with them on a constant basis is very, very important. And third part is accordingly, we have to recognize them. We have to reward them. And we have to do it in a transparent manner so that they feel that they're in a nurturing environment. They feel that they can contribute suggestions and they are valued in the organization. It is said that people don't leave organizations, but people leave their immediate bosses. So we have to ensure that people are treated well, they're respected well. And if that is done, then the motivation level will be very, very high. We have seen that in hundreds of organizations that we have worked with. These simple principles really help in improving motivation and improving the HR indicators. Just a small example, we have been talking to our team and have been looking at how to handle post-COVID scenario or how to sail through this. And just 2 days back, we got a mail from our senior team members saying that, we understand that we are in an unprecedented situation. There are going to be tough times. The business is going to get affected and we have full faith in the management. And together, whatever we decide in terms of how to sail through this storm, we all stand together and whatever difficult decisions we may need to take, we will stick together and go through. So this kind of a confidence suggests that yes, the team values the organizational ethos, they own the organizational vision and they feel part of the organization. And as Parmarth said, that transparency, sharing the vision and being available to them so that they are able to give their best is really the key for improving motivation.
Point of time, as we totally understand that things have been quite different and we are in an unprecedented times where we don't know as businesses what should we take care of our business, our customers, our families, our team members, and how do we take it forward. But we also understand that as an industry, as a business, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel where we all think that post the situation, and we don't know how long the situation is going to go and how soon we are going to come out of it. People do want to understand what should be the right focus. And in today's webinar, what we have done is we've created a complete webinar around one single topic, which is a process automation. How does it help to build employees and your team's efficiency? So I would be going with a certain set of questions here, and I would like to share these questions with all the people who are attending this webinar today. How are you currently managing your employees? Employees' efficiency, productivity in the organization. How do you currently manage all these things? So there are 4 possible answers to this. Use workflow as part of your ERP system. Use Excel to manage your processes. Use other tools or softwares. And you don't use any other tools. See, in today's webinar, we are just touching only one topic, which is to do with the process automation as a way to build teams' efficiencies. we may be taking some of the questions on factory automations and upskilling and other areas of digitization in our later seminars. So I would like all the participants and the attendees to put the complete your question answer session against this particular topic only, so that we go a little more deeper and understand this subject as to how we can optimize our employees and the team's efficiency here. So at this point of time, I've got some particular shares coming from various people. So I'm going to be just sharing the results of this particular poll. I'm sharing this result of the poll in front of all the panelists. Well, majority of the feel that Excel is the only way that they are, I wouldn't say Excel is the only way, but the majority of them feel that Excel is one of the ways, and majority of them go with that as to manage their processes. Some of them do use their ERP systems also, and others use some other softwares, and few of them, they don't use anything. So what is the opinion coming from the panel here? If I may ask Mr. Kevin, what is the tool that you are using to manage employees' efficiency and productivity in your organization?
So we were initially using a PLM. In fact, we were trying to use a PLM. The biggest problem one faces with trying to introduce any kind of automation or any kind of process is the ability of your staff to absorb the process and use it to their benefit. Unfortunately, there is such huge resistance to change because Excel has been around forever, and they consider it to be extra work. So they will continue to maintain their TNA. For example, a typical buying agency, the emphasis is on TNA. And because that is a critical part of what you do. Unfortunately, when you do it on Excel, reporting, data collection, data collation, and building reports out of it becomes very, very difficult. So you end up doing one-to-ones, or you develop a system within your organization to find out what particular action requires your attention the most. So the PLM, we tried once and twice, and it just didn't function. Expensive process, cost money, which was literally money down the drain. Went back to Excel, and now recently, as a matter of fact, we have been working with the Accent product TNA. So that offers two aspects. One, it's a little more the visuals are better. People find it easier to use. Data input is a little simplified. For me as a manager, the most important factor is the collation of data and the ability for me to take decisions based on whatever is being thrown up, that requires immediate attention or attention in the short run. That I think the data collation and the building of reports thereof is what I find the most important and most effective, because that's what assists me in my decision-making process. The other advantage that a system like this has, or a platform like this has, or a product like this has, is that it automatically generates reminders. It is very critical because every individual has a different attention span, a different level of how they approach their work. The best part of this is once you input the data, the reminders that are thrown up of it activate, get them to take action immediately. And if they don't, for whatever reason, it is reflected in the reports which are generated and sent on to the manager, which is great, because at 2 or 3 levels of management, you have a team leader, you have a DMM or whatever one might call them, and then you have the manager of the organization or that particular department. They can take action. The other thing is mobility. This is cleverly been done as a web-based app. And
so I'm sorry, Mr. Kevin, can I just interject you here for a moment, and I will definitely come back to you. Can I have an opinion from Mr. Pramarth as to what are the tools that he's using to manage his employees' efficiency and productivity?
Yeah, Sonil.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've graduated from being in the Excel world 5-6 years ago, and it was a painful evolution. As Kevin rightly pointed out, there is humongous resistance to moving on to some other platform. But so we have a software, and it just happens to be the both of us are using the same software. But what is working for me now, Sonal, is that the new age software, the PLM that we're using, creates visibility across platform, across processes. So, and there is immense accountability, because one gets to know what the other one is doing and why one process has not been moved ahead. The other thing is a great shared understanding, how a team performs and not an individual performs. So, so yeah, it's a progress from Excel into the Accent software, but we're still learning. And I am assuming that the utopian world would be such that maybe one day we're sharing our TNAs and Accent, and we have given access to the buyers, and they are in tune and they are up to date with what is happening on a second to second, minute to minute basis, rather than it just controlling our processes. They should have access to all the processes. They need to know what we are doing to save every penny, to pass on the saved penny to them in terms of price. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Okay, and can I just have a quick share from Mr. Nitin Mohan as to what is your opinion about using the tools in your organizations?
See, first and foremost, you should have your system ready to use. I mean, without technology, what system are you using? So one should have a system in place first before even thinking about technology. So once you have a system, your TNA in place, then you should use technology, because technology help you analyze and move forward, use the information and increase the efficiency. In our company, we have a homegrown system as an organically grown ERP, which is around 10 to 15 years old. And we have a TNA system which works on simply on emails. So the user doesn't have to log into a system, so it's easier for them to use it. And again, my suggestion is that have the management only review the macro level of TNA information, and the team leader and the group leader can get into the micro level. And the next step what we have taken, we have recently engaged Sanjoy's company, and we are migrating from our system is a little old. We use a lot of old technology there. So we are planning to shift from our current technology into Sanjoy's TNA application. And currently, in fact, we are working on the pilot, which has just got over. And my suggestion to everybody will be that this is the right time to enable yourself, because orders will be less. It will be great to, that change will be faster, because, earlier maybe you were doing 200 POs. Today you'll be doing 30 POs or 40 POs because of cancellations and what is happening. So don't get, perturbed that, business will come back definitely. There's no way India will lose out on business. It will take time. We have to start from scratch in a way. So this is the right time to convert yourself into your Excel into a technology, which can be any system. There are many other systems available in the market. So see what is best for your organization, whether it's a smaller organization or a larger organization, doesn't matter. Everything is scalable today. You can buy for 5 people, and when you grow, you can scalable to 1,000 people. So my suggestion is the right time to enable yourself. I mean, Excel is not a solution. Excel, in fact, is it makes your life chaotic. I mean, it's good to handle something in Excel, but TNA management has to be automated. So this is my take, and this is how we are doing.
So can I just take a quick share from Mr. Dr. Rajesh Bheda as to what is his viewpoint, as he's at the helm of, connected to a large set of organizations. What is that he feels in terms of what should be the current way of managing employees' efficiency and productivity?
Thank you, Sunil. Two things I would like to look at. One is, as Nitin said, that we have to have the system first, and then that has to be working. And then we can automate. The automation could be the now the way is to go for ERP because it's versatile. It is cloud based. People can collaborate and so on. So that is way forward. But what Nitin said is very, very important. The software will not govern you. You must have a living system, or you must create a system which the ERP will help you actually automate, and as a result you get speed and you get the accuracy. That is one part. Second part, also what Kevin brought in is very, very important, and I was looking at some of the studies. One is by Harvard Business Review, another by Dell Tech Index, which says that why digitization fails, and they have talked about 5 elements, and I think it is worth looking at it because we found many companies buy a very good software or very good piece of equipment, but are not able to use it. And what they're saying is, both studies put together, is inability to experiment quickly. We take a lot of time, and as a result, we lose time. Legacy systems like Excel, old systems, people get used to and are not able to migrate easily. Lack of talent across functions. So as a result, they are not able to sort of rise up to the occasion. Lack of collaboration and data sharing between departments. Many times merchants are very, very sort of secretive, or they say my buyer, my data, and do not want to share. That becomes a problem. Lack of vision and strategy in terms of how to integrate technology. Why are we doing so? What value are we going to get for organization, and what value do we deliver to customer? That's very, very important, which is about change management. How do we prepare the team to be able to go that extra mile, saying that this is what the future is. There's not an option. And this is how we will be able to deliver higher value to our customer. As a result, we become more flexible, more responsive, and business can go to next level. So as long as we are able to do that visioning and preparing of soil, then getting the right results from technology is absolutely possible. And ERP is the way forward for this, no doubt about it.
Okay, at this point of time, I would just understand from some of you that as majority of the attendees and participants do mention that Excel is the only way they used to manage their processes, and some of them do also mention that they are using the workflow as part of their ERP system, or the ERP system is their support function they are using at this point of time. If I want to just ask all the attendees once again, so in case if you're using Excel or you're using an alternative particular tool, what are the features that normally you look for when you're using this set of tools? So I'm just sharing one more poll to you in front of you. Features which are there in the current set of tools that people are using. So I do understand one or two panelists are using Accent, and they are all using, some of them are using alternative, and Dr. Bheda, you also would be connected to a lot of companies, and you also get to, when it comes to employees efficiency, you would be proposing a lot of such tools. What are the normal features that you feel are there? So I am, before I take an answer from you, let me just have a quick share coming from all the set of people who are attending this seminar. Let us understand and have a quick opinion from all of them. I'll take about another 5 more seconds to wrap up this poll and then share the results. Okay, so I'm just sharing the results in front of all of you, where so there is a complete like a mixed kind of things people do look out for in their tools. One very evident feature that people are looking out for is task calendars and reminders. So everybody wants people to remind them about the things. So that's a technology which we are heading to now, where the reminders and the notifications is now becoming the way of life. And then we have people who are looking for dashboards and data transparency between the teams. It should be accessed through a web and a mobile application. and some of them do feel that the performance scorecards is also one of the great way of knowing the tools. And besides WhatsApp and other chat engines that we have, people do believe that they should have a live chat between the team's members. So I again would like to take up the questions from the panel. Sanjoy, I have been keeping you on mute. I hope that's all right, because we will take you and we will take your shares immediately once everybody has shared it out. So I would like to go with Mr. Nitin Mohan here and ask him as to what is the features that is missing in his current set of tools that you are using in Triberg at the moment.
We were missing, the app. Everybody's on an app. Our system is a computer web-based system. It's basically no merchant wants to log into a ERP and see or do his work or take a report. So our system being we are using still, Visual Basic and older languages. I mean, IT. We wanted to give it, everybody wants an app now. So Excellent has a beautiful app, and that is what we engaged them and started off. Basically the data is from my system only. It is integrated into his system. So there's no need to recreate the data. So what is basically there's an interface which has been made between my ERP and his, which is very easy to do. It's not a rocket science. It's it's a very easy, there are standard files nowadays, XML file, Excel file, and the data automatically gets into the system, and you use the system and you transfer the information back into the ERP. So it sort of becomes seamless. So there's no extra effort required now. So you have two options. One, if you have an ERP, you can make an interface with this with the web TNA. And if you don't have a ERP, you can still enter your data, your style details, your PO details in the web TNA, and you're on. So it's the simplicity is what our company believes in simplicity, and this product comes with it's a very simple, it's very simplified, the TNA usage here. So that is what my company, everybody is 25 to 30 years old, so they all want app. So that is how I went in for this web TNA.
Okay. And can we have Mr. Kevin's opinion on this as to what are the features he thinks should be part of the current tools?
So it's like I said, the most important aspect for me is, to be able to pin accountability for the execution of tasks. Like we talked earlier, we need to empower people to be able to, or enable them to be able to get the information they require to do their job properly, set up a system so that they can perform efficiently. If you have a tool that encompasses, this to get your results, like you talked on your poll, you've asked task calendars and reminders. Those are critical because filling in the initial information into your TNA is the simplest. You fill it in and you put it. The idea is to keep it updated, to have real live interaction with your vendor, with your buyer, to be able to perform and deliver efficiently. That is critical. And then the other thing is for the management to be able to take decisions, because the industry as it operates in India is relatively inefficient. There are so many inefficiencies in the system because the supply chain itself is so complicated, right from yarn to fabric to processing to stitching to logistics. It's a long, complicated process. So to ensure that there is some efficiency, you need efficient tracking, and you need to know where you're losing a day or 2 or 3 a day. You lose a day, it can mean the difference between sending goods by sea or sending it by air, and we all know what that means. So if you can save a couple of days in the entire process by being able to track it efficiently, I think that is critical. And like I said before, we shifted from Excel years ago to PLM. We dropped it again for Excel. We shifted to PLM again. I could not implement it efficiently because, you know, the kind, I mean, sorry to put it like this, but a lot of the people that enter this industry, they don't necessarily, meet the standards that one would require for intelligent and efficient operation, you know. We have very often make do with people. Maybe because, you know, we're not able to pay them, the really bright people, the kind of remuneration that they require. So you tend to work with a lot of people who are fairly average, and you have to give them the tools to perform beyond that level of to use a very maybe an inappropriate term, but mediocrity. So you have to empower them, enable them, give them the tools, and then ensure that they use them. That is a challenge. So
Yeah.
all these issues you mentioned. Sorry, I'll take a half a minute. All these issues that you mentioned, or all these points that you mentioned on your poll, I think all of them are very, very relevant. You know, all of them. The degree of relevance might vary, but they're all extremely relevant.
Okay. So before I move on to the next question, can I just quickly have a share from Mr. Rajesh Bheda, also Dr. Rajesh Bheda. What is that you feel about this particular question?
Thank you, Sonil. Yeah. So a couple of things. These task calendar reminders are very good. One more feature we need there is a intelligent selection of priority. That means assuming that there are 10 tasks to be done or 20 tasks to be done, which ones are critical and which one the management must be able to pay attention today. And if I don't do so, it may cost me a lot of money. It may cost me losses. So management has limited time. Priority management is very important. And priority management for when to initiate fabric procurement orders, when to initiate trim procurement orders, using the scientific principles of theory of constraints is very, very important, because that can help us save a lot of working capital and can help us increase the speed. So that is one thing I would like to say. The linkages with the mobile apps is very, very important, because that is how now it has become much easier to be able to have interface. One more thing I would like to say, that there are many ERPs which are good for macro planning activities and so on. But based on our experience, we find that still in certain departments, the efficiency measurement happens with Excel, because the ERP, number one, are either not so equipped to be able to look at department-wise efficiencies, or they find it difficult to do the customization. So there is a need for ERPs to become better, easily adaptable, to be able to go deeper into manufacturing cycle. Otherwise, you tend to have these dual reporting also happening. So there is certain scope there. One more small piece of sort of sharing for the tech providers. It's very, very important. What Kevin said is, how do we make our solutions easy to implement, and how can we prepare people to be able to utilize that solution? That's very, very important. If you can spend a little more time on that, then the usability and the effectiveness of the solution will really grow. And as a result, we will have wider user base.
Okay, perfect. So would be an understanding here is, what I also have a small, input to this particular topic is, we have seen that we have been graduating from different mediums. There was a time when we were on the radio as a platform, then we graduated to television as a platform, and now we have small screens, which are, earlier it was computers, so radio, television, computer, and now it's a mobile phone. So the graduation process which has happened over decades now, where we are seeing that the technology and the access to the technology is becoming so fast. And that's what the entire proposition is. As a country and as a company, as an industry, what we I would say one area that we typically feel that we are at the back of a lot of other industries or other countries is the fact that we have not been able to implement technology in the way it is. As I think Mr. Rajesh Bheda Dr. Rajesh Bheda is the right person to point out this particular concern.
Yeah, so just a small point, and that goes to Kevin's point, which is very, very important, that we have to make do with relatively less educated or not the brightest people in the industry. But let me share my perspective. There are few across world we have worked with. We find that if we are able to communicate with people in their language and are able to explain them the concepts, we find that people are really, really willing to learn. Many times it is the managers and the supervisors who don't believe that their people are capable of doing things. And we have n number of examples where n-line checkers are carrying out Pareto analysis, are carrying out cause and effect analysis, filling up the defect charts and carrying out all kinds of analysis. So the key is, can we go down to that person, speak with her in her language and explain to her in a step-by-step manner. Don't frighten her. And first you believe that she is capable, and you will see world of difference. We have seen hundreds of people really rising to occasion and suddenly finding new confidence. Oh, I can do this. And thank you, sir, for teaching me. So that there is an untapped potential. We feel that people cannot. We need ability of reaching out to them.
So I would like to have there is a very strong statement coming in, and I have, sorry, Mr. Kevin, I would just like to take an opportunity to ask Mr. Sanjoy to please share his thought, because there is a lot of conversations happening around TNA, and there is a kind of a hot topic which is of the day today on our webinar. So Sanjoy, what's your thought? And there is a lot of interesting shares what Dr. Bheda has also given out to you.
Let me underline a few things. Firstly, I think it's very important, like Dr. Bheda said, to give a system, have a system in place where people can actually use, where they fit in and they can show, they can perform, right? If you don't have a system in place, how do you measure performance, right? Number two, you made a point about, Dr. Bheda, about being critical. We have something where you can mark activities critical. You can actually set your reminders that, the top management says, only tell me about critical activities. Don't tell me about the rest, right? And about ease of use, that's something we spent a lot of time on, because we modeled our messaging on WhatsApp, so they're familiar with the environment. The app has got something like swipe to close, so that make it really simple, dumb it down. So that's been our. So it's really nice to have it all confirmed by your expert advice. That's it. I just want to share that.
Kevin.
So I'll just quickly take. Okay, Mr. Kevin, you want to
caveat to what the point that Dr. Bheda made about my comment about I used the word mediocrity. The fact is, the talent pool as it exists across the country. I'm talking the talent pool generally. I'm not talking about our industry in specific. The people who migrate towards apparel, it's been the bane of the industry from the very beginning. I've been in this industry now 30 years. That we've not been able to attract necessarily the best and the brightest for various reasons. So when you operate at a smaller level, when I'm talking like as a smaller company, you may not be necessarily able to reward people with the kind of remuneration that they require. And let me tell you that we comprise the bulk of the industry rather than the exception. There is one Triberg, there may be a few others a little below their level, but the bulk of the business across the country is a small, medium and small and very small companies, especially in what we do, sourcing. We have to work. Like somebody, a very well-known designer once told me, he said, you can't put a brush in somebody's hand and expect them to be an artist. So the level of absorption of technology is I'll tell you something. I work with Spain. I asked, one day I had a little bit of a contest in the office. We do these little activities from time to time. I asked people, I said, where's Mexico? They said it's right next to Spain. This is our education system produces, a certain level of intellect of person, and I'm not trying to demean anybody. I'm just talking about the realities of what we work within, right? So for them to absorb technology, they do it up to a certain level, and a lot of them, despite how much time and effort. For example, I've had a slightly closer association with Sanjoy here. We have actually done a lot of testing for his product in my company, and short of asking for the system to make coffee, they wanted to do every single thing. It doesn't work like that, and that is the battle we fight every day. You need a champion to push the product, you need to motivate them, you need to threaten them, all sorts of things. But this is a limitation we work with.
So, Mr. Kevin, can I just hold on for you, hold on to you for a few moments, and we have one more, follow-up question that we need to ask. So there were certain related questions which came from Mr. Vimal Sharaf, from Jaipur, where he's mentioned that there are systems wherein you get reminders all kind of day-to-day basis. So and there are some very interesting questions that we can do. But before we can go on to the other question, let us just understand one more aspect of putting up this technology. We have the systems. We know what all things we require from the systems. Now, can we just quickly understand what are the benefits that we can expect once you have the systems in place, or what are the what you would expect to derive from a full featured process automation system? Agar aapke paas sari cheezein, everything has been done by the system, what all things you think can be, what all progress you can see coming up? Is it a better on-time delivery, reduce errors, better communication, or better historical data, or reduce cost due to better efficiency? And to all the attendees and participants, this question can be answered with the multiple choices. So you have the option of picking up more than one choice, whatever you feel is right for you. And there's nothing but we need to understand as to what are the benefits. If technology is available and we know where the need is, what kind of benefits we can think we can drive out of it. If your whatever is your understanding is, please share it. At this point of time, we're just ending the poll right now, and we're putting this result of the poll in front of all the panelists again. I have Mr. Parmarth. He's not given his opinion in the previous question in detail. So we all understand what are the benefits. So and the majority feel that reduced error and better communication and transparency within the team. What is your opinion about this?
Yeah, I think so. All 5 points are valid, and you just give them percentile depending on how important that aspect is to you. I would feel that yeah, the call of the day is the reduced cost, and we need to create efficiencies, and all the top 4 options improve efficiencies. But the biggest point is that a multiple option of the process automation is ideally a democratization of the whole process. Every organization has excellence in some form, in some team or the other. It's actually bringing that excellence together and creating a final product or a final service that can be provided to the customer. I feel that the historical records and better communication works towards creating that, and obviously reducing cost. Yeah, all of it in part. I actually cannot pinpoint one which would specifically go on to reduce cost or improve efficiency. All of it in proportion would do that. Yeah.
I want to go back to Mr. Kevin on this particular point. You had some interesting thoughts from the previous question, and I would like you to just go have a review of this particular answer and share your opinion now. In
the one that Parmarth just spoke about.
Yeah, on the poll, wherein what benefits do you see and expect through a full featured automation system?
So, I mean, this is all a given. I would look at it a little beyond this. I mean, after all, the ultimate benefit that we're looking at is, reduced time to market and customer satisfaction. I mean, that is what this would all lead up to, right? So, I mean, if you break it down into these various points, you can, probably quantify them in terms of time or value, and you can come up and say that this is more important or that is more important. But the ultimate is to perform more efficiently, So I think, yes, we need to incorporate all these various aspects. I cannot pinpoint anyone that would necessarily be better or more important than the other.
Okay. Mr. Nitin, can I have an opinion from you as to what is your thought about this?
Unfortunately, I can't see the results, so I'll skip But my view again is that
do you want me to narrate the results?
No, I heard the other panelists, so I'm just adding there.
Yeah.
I'll not go into specifics. When business comes back, it'll take 3 months, 6 months. It'll be all chase business. Chase business means that the turnaround cycle will be very, very less. So to compete again, we need to be we have to become more efficient. So one thing is, so whatever we can do right now, when we are going through the lean period, to become more efficient, because we have to now do only chase business, because there won't be 120-day cycle, 100-day cycle. Everything will be, because buyer will want everything quickly now in the stores when they open up.
Okay.
So this is my take. So get efficient during this time. Use technology, use whatever you can, get efficient.
So while the ask is to be more efficient, and that is the message which is going out there to everybody in the textile fraternity, is to build yourself internally. That's where we are, having engagements coming up from all this particular set of topics. And the helm of the entire thing is your teams, your organizations inward, and what is that we can see. While we all understand that technology is a very supporting factor that will come into play once we all get back to the normal state of mind, again, emphasis on the fact that once we are assessing a technology, if we are going and looking out for what is the technology which is there, yes, there are a lot of options which are coming in, and a lot of people have been sharing the facts that if Google is able to give you a bill payment reminder, Mr. R. Mohan has pointed out, why not? Why do we need another software? And then again, there are other things wherein people have mentioned out that reminders are now becoming an integral part of their ecosystem. What we need is a comprehensive workflow wherein your work-related environment, your reminders come in a way that you want to see it. You put in your priorities, you put in your things, and that's what we are looking for. I would take an opinion from, again, with Dr. Rajesh Bheda as to what is your thought process when we look at the complete set of features. What is your thought process as to what all additional features or the ones which you mentioned are of primary importance?
What I would say, that I would sort of go on to what Kevin said very, very well, and as well as Nitin, that when we say that when we get back into business post-COVID, when the orders come, that will be too late. We need to learn today. Yesterday, we need to start teaching and coaching our teams in terms of how to do quick response orders. That's what sort of Nitin was saying. So these systems, though, will help us do better on-time delivery or have accurate decision making. One has to use these systems and our management capability to reconfigure our supply chain, saying that currently we're doing 90 days, currently we're doing 70 days. How do we prepare for 45 days? Can we prepare for 30 days? And not have any kind of historical baggage saying that ye to India mein nahi ho sakta. That cannot happen. We have to do it if we have to survive, and if we have to flourish in this kind of uncertain environment, if we have to just ensure that we don't go down, we don't go out of business, we have to keep all previous experience aside and really prepare the management team to figure out how to deliver business in 30 days. And there are people in NCR who are delivering shipments in 15 days. They're doing it today. We have to prepare our teams for that. And we have to challenge every possible rule or every possible constraint. And there are some companies, as we're discussing now, we are coaching their management teams morning, afternoon, having management strategy meetings, what the new world is going to be and how do we prepare ourselves to be able to meet that. And a lot of people are investing time in preparing their teams there. So it's very, very important. How do we reconfigure? How do we prepare for uncertain world is happening? And it is not going to be safe. The lead times have to come down drastically. Our multi-million-dollar aircraft is as good as the pilot that flies. Today is a time, last month was a time to prepare our people for that. every hour is important. Not lose that. That's the message I would like to give.
There is two very quite evident things that are coming out from this in this particular set of conversation. One is not only we need to integrate ourselves internally, wherein we need to figure out what can be restructured within the organization, but at the same time, as Dr. Bheda mentioned out the fact that it's very important that we cut down on our lead times. There was a time when we were working on 120 days and then we came down to 90, and possibly now every single buyer may be coming out with the challenge thrown to you or to us as an industry, wherein they would be asking for the delivery times within 30 to 45 days. And yes, there has been some remarkable examples in the industry wherein people have turned around their organizations, not only internally, but they have connected their complete supply chain in such a manner that the moment there is an order which is there in their organization, the complete supply chain gets mapped. Now, there are certain interesting tools which are now coming into play wherein while in our current sphere of mind, the current supply chain may or may not work in the same responsiveness, the way you want and how your buyers want in the coming times. But what can be possibly done is there is an option to look out for an alternative supply chain which moves a lot more faster. A direction wherein people can connect to a lot bigger set of suppliers, maybe at certain times when they're looking out, saying no to orders on cost pressures or on the delivery pressures or on the cost prices. There is a way wherein they can reach out to multiple people. So we would look out for those set of tools and options very shortly. So before we take up this next set of session here, we have a very, very important set of things which are been lined up, and before we go on to our next section on the webinar, we just want to have a quickly update from maybe all of you, on all the panelists. What do you think are the alternative technologies or techniques which are available in the market that you see can help you mitigate all this set of challenges? Yes, you are looking out for efficiencies, you are looking out for the benefits, what you want to drive. What kind of tools are currently available? Excel, we have kind of highlighted earlier. There was topic on the ERP, which we also mentioned that some of them are using ERP, and most of the people, I am not on the panel at this point of time, but the people in the other part of the value chain who are not on the apparel side, but downside on the fabric, trims, accessories, and the lower supply chain, who do not have a proper systems or would like to understand what kind of options are available for them. So any one of you would like to share as to what kind of tools are now available? What, if you guys have used in the past, as the smallest tools or techniques that you think are relevant at this point of time?
Excel is the king. In a small, there's nothing better than Excel for a small tool. But Excel also, you can do pivot, you can do a lot of things. You can generate your own reports, you can use Access. So Excel is a great tool otherwise. I mean, if you know how to use it, it should not be used for rows and columns and adding and subtracting. You can do some, have somebody in the company or your organization do a proper course in Excel. And then there are products like this WebTNA. There are other products also available which are subscription based. So they are scalable. So they ultimately are cheap because they are scalable. So you pay and use. So anybody else can also put in. I was just,
Yeah, so I want to just elaborate this question again a bit, wherein my thought process to raise out to all the panelists here is have a bit more detailed understanding on what are the other possible tools that people can use. sharing this question to the panelists again. What are the tools and techniques which are available to reduce cost and build employees' efficiency?
So,
Yes, Dr. Bheda.
Just to take maybe 1.5 minutes, 4 areas one can look at. One is digital prototyping is a very, very important, either you call a tool or a technique, which will really help reduce time and money. Because right now our sample acceptance rates are not great and our sample development time is very, very high. We have to move to digital prototyping. It gives saving on all accounts. Second is a priority management system to figure out which fabrics to be ordered when, so that we have them in time and not before time, not late. The second area can save a lot of working capital and ensure on-time delivery. Third is application of lean management principles across the organization and to eliminate waste from every process. This is not a software you can buy. It's the management system, management thinking, which has been ingrained into every person's mind. But the results can be fantastic. Return on investment can be wonderful. And the fourth is the performance measurement dashboard, again across the department, which can be integrated into a ERP, or for smaller companies, it can be even Excel based. But as long as we do it, and as long as we review it on a regular basis, these 4 things can make you dramatically different from today, as long as it is implemented very well. So that is my sort of, my take on this.
Okay, can we have a quick share coming from Kevin? Can we have the share from you as to what is your thought about this?
No, I think I'll just go with what Dr. Bheda said. I think these are the critical aspects of what one has to. I mean, the point is, it's not a matter of which tool or which company or which bouquet of products you would use. I mean, that is just the tool. You know, it's the thought behind that and what objective you ultimately want to achieve. You know, the tool just falls somewhere in between. As a process or that you would use. So I cannot, I mean, I don't know so much about products that I have not scoured the market for, looked for. So I cannot, to be very specific and answer your question, what tools and techniques are available. I mean, they're probably in the thousands, a lot of our focus somehow in most arenas of business tend to focus on larger businesses. It's the smaller businesses that have to evolve and at their level, find products that are number one, easy to use, number two, cost effective. I think these are the most critical aspects of what I as a small business would be looking for. Everyone wants to, you have these huge products like your SAP and, you this and that, and you modify it and you customize it and use it to your benefit, as your ERP. Many people do that and take like 5 years to implement. Some of my clients have gone in for that and it's been an absolute nightmare because, I mean, eventually they've compelled people to use it. But I would always say go for something that's small, efficient, that is easy to use because, like one of the panelists said, a lot of people of the younger generation are very comfortable with the handhelds, with app-based products. Find something that suits the individual organization, and use it to the best of your ability. I'm sure there are many like what Sanjoy is doing. There are many other companies doing the same or similar products, and find something that has good service response time, good backup service. That's critical, for implementation and for support.
Can I add something here?
Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Nitin.
For apparel, one product people can see is a 3D product, where you can render your garments on a 3D product, and long term you save a lot of money in doing the sampling. For example, normally in conventional way, buyer sends 30 sketches. You have to make 30 samples. So here you can do the 30 garments on 3D, give them another 50 options. So buyer out of the 30 sample will ask you to make only 10 piece or 8 piece. So, you can reduce your actual stitching of garments. But these technologies are a little expensive currently. It will be a while before they become reasonable. So one technology one should, even if they're not buying or using it, should look at is on 3D. There are a lot of product available in the market. And for the hardware side, one should start investigating the 3D printing, where the prices have come down, and small size prototypes can be easily be made in a 3D printer. So these are my two suggestions during this time, that do some research on 3D and on 3D printing.
So our next webinar is all scheduled regarding the factory automation, which is on the 16th, where we will be talking about and exploring a lot of these kind of options on 3D models or 3D printing or 3D images, and doing sampling on that side. And Dr. Bheda, you had some thing to add up here.
I think you mentioned that. So in the next webinar, one of our partners, Tukatek Systems, they would be speaking about their solutions. But the great thing what they have done is they have opened up the 3D software for online usage at a virtually no subscription or a very minimal subscription, so that people can continue doing product development from homes during the lockdown. So do explore, and the Asia head of Tukatek will be speaking, but they're a great company, absolutely fanatic for customer service and delivering value, so do explore. That's a great opportunity for companies to do something on 3D product development from homes. And I think that probably you may have re-engineered that process by the time the lockdown continues. Your party makers still might be able to work from home.
Okay. Can I have a quick share from Pramat Kapoor as to what is his thought about tools and techniques available to reduce cost and building employees' efficiency?
The tools and techniques that are required, I would say we'll have to wear a different gear. The goalposts have changed. And as Dr. Bheda said, timelines, 15 days, 20 days, 30 days would be the new reality. Prices, I would say, would crash. We have to be prepared to accept what was ridiculous earlier as the new reality. And design was always our forte, so I see that being exponentially explored, and giving that expertise ahead. But the need of the hour is everybody to come together, and everybody to work together. I don't think so. A 30-day or 15-day or a 40-day timeline, given the kind of product one would be discussing, is possible if everybody is not together.
Absolutely.
There are very few factories that have the capability of executing, something from the filament or the yarn stage to the final product. Given the scale and the nature of the industry is in, we need a platform where everybody can be there in terms of capacities, product, efficiencies, what they can provide. And we need to just come together and work. Otherwise, I don't see singularity working in these times. We need to be together, I think so. I don't think that's a tool. That's just the need of the hour. I'm quite confident we'll come out shining.
So, well, as you mentioned, there is a platform that you were seeking out, and very shortly I'm going to be sharing it out with you. But before we go on to the next section on the things, let us now take a closer, deeper look on two such available techniques which are out there. So here I would like to call upon Sanjoy Segal from Exin Software. Sanjoy, please share about the tool of your WebTNA. Some of the panelists have experienced it, and now the entire set of people who are attending this webinar would like to understand.
Do you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right. All right, let me talk about WebTNA. Basically, TNA, time and action calendar, and the web, putting it together. And our effort, our endeavor has been to make it simple, easy to use, and really cheap, to make it accessible, like Kevin said, to the smallest company. I mean, you can use WebTNA for 1,000 rupees per user per month. I don't think we can go cheaper than that. So it's really cost effective and easy. I don't know if we need to discuss the results of the 3 polls. I think we've been through it enough. And we've also looked at what are the main features, what is really important. I want to underline here, emails are reminder emails are important. And what we have been able to do is give you actionable emails. That means you can actually click in the email and perform some actions. Okay, let me go ahead and show you some quick screens. First, the background of the company. We are devoted to fashion. I mean, that's all we do. And we've been in the business for over 16 years. And we have 3 products. And Web TNA is what we're going to talk about here. Simple. Look at the screen. You look at the screen, it tells you something. The red, green, and orange. It speaks for itself. You know, what is late, what's a bit late, and what's on time. That's the idea. Mobile or desktop doesn't matter. The screens are simple and easy to see. Okay. What's interesting is, look at this projected date. We are actually projecting the date of your TNA. So we're trying to give you warning in advance. Every time you get 3 days late for a lab dip, the system is calculating what that means for your delivery date. So it's warning you well in advance. That's Excel will never do for you. Huh? So it's really critical. Now, live chat is something which is important. I mean, you want to be in touch with the QC at the factory. You want to be in touch with everybody, every part of your team, wherever they are. You're sitting in the airport, waiting in the lounge. You want to know what's going on. That's why your mobile, your live chat is important. So that the quality controller can take a picture of the garment and get a response from the merchandiser or the merchandise manager anytime, in real time. That's why this is important. It's just like WhatsApp, but plus because you have a record. It records it with the TNA, with the order. You've got a record. You can look at it 6 months later. That's really important. You get a claim. You have no idea what happened. Here you can check exactly what happened. Even to the extent of audio notes. That was Parmarth's idea, by the way. You can actually make audio notes and the merchandising can play it out. Then what's really important, what we found is that everybody has their own calendar. You can see what I have to do today, this week, the next week. No surprises, no scope of forgetting. And as I said, a daily email which lists out all that is due. Again, color-coded and with buttons there in the email itself. So you can actually do your work in the email. So you don't have to continuously be logging into a system. You can work on your mobile, on the desktop, or in the email. Lots of different kind of dashboards, you know, every kind of figure you want to see in different ways. And most importantly, one screen to give you your status. What are my orders? What is the status? In one screen, I know. You know, what's running for this customer? One screen, I know everything. That's critical. And one of the banes of our industry, I think, is to know who's working well, who's not working. How do you judge performance? So we've tried to build in scorecards per user, per team, per business unit. If you have multiple business units, you can compare customers, you can compare vendors, whatever you like. Okay. You can register for free, try it out for free for a long time. Do it now, go and visit it. It's really easy. That's it. I'm waiting for some questions from the panel. Let me start with Dr. Bheda. Ask me something about this.
Thanks, Sanjay. It looks quite good, and the presentation is good and simple. I see it's the interface in terms of the mobile and app usage is quite good. So yeah, right now I'm good. I'll have to sit with you to go a little deeper. But otherwise, it sounds quite exciting.
Okay. Actually, I have some questions of the panel because we've been implementing this for quite some time, and we come across some pretty solid resistance. Parmarth, maybe you can answer this. I really have come across merchandise managers who will lie down and prevent it, try to halt this from happening. You know, they really fight it. And that's so what's your opinion? What does one do about that?
You know, I like to approach it by saying that transparency is not something everybody is very comfortable with. And this makes it extremely transparent. So yeah, for the management and for the performers, it's a great system. But a person who's been lurking behind the desk and not doing the job, it's a bane. So, but then this differentiates the good apples from the bad apples. So yeah, I would think that's the only reason, because you can't find fault with the system. It charts the person's own growth, and you know what they're doing. So I can't think of any other reason, honestly. But there is huge resistance. Yeah, no two ways to that.
Sanjay, so answer to your question is a little wider. So it is not problem specific to you or to your solution. It is the human reaction to change. So generally, anything that is different from what we're used to, the resistance comes in. Lack of power, that if this goes out of my hand, I lose my power. It's a second issue. People don't want to delegate. People don't want transparency. So that also happens. So these are all human emotions or human insecurities. An answer to that is prepare the team. Have a management workshop with them in terms of why is the change important and how this solution is going to help them and the organization. So as long as we are able to do that, and if they're able to overcome the insecurities, then the implementation will become easy. And that happens for lean implementation, efficiency improvement program, any change. And especially there are a lot of wrong practices also go on. And if the transparency is going to come, then again, people feel very, very insecure and they will really resist tooth and nail, because they feel that if that comes in, we're gone. Our fiefdom is gone. But on an average, majority of the people have good intentions. We have to address their fears through a preparedness seminar. Prepare the soil, then only put the seed in, then only bring your technology. Without preparing soil, it's a disaster we're walking into.
I agree with Dr. Bheda. You have to prepare the management first. Absolutely. If the management drives it, if it is a small company, if the proprietor, the owner drives it, there's no way the system will not be successful. It happens, the management is not prepared, the owner is not prepared, and he just puts in a ERP or a software, it doesn't work, he says, oh, ye to kharcha ho gaya, kuch fayda nahi hua. So Absolutely. It has to be driven from the top. I mean, with my experience, that if the management says, I want this 5 KPIs, there's no way out of it. I mean, people now, it has become so useful, it's become so critical. The merchant doesn't want to work without a TNA now.
Absolutely.
If there is a PO without a TNA, it comes to me directly that, sir, there's no TNA in this style. Because now it has become critical for them. They can't, it's become like a everyday thing for them. Because we had to force them in the initial stages from the management that these 5 things, we will take it from the system only. We will not entertain any Excel. And that is how the system became successful.
That's very true. I think management commitment is the single most important reason why a system succeeds or doesn't succeed. If they're not 100% behind it, it will not succeed.
And it doesn't matter if it's a smaller company, even if the proprietor, the owner, if it's a 50 people company, 100 people company, the proprietor, the owner, he says, no, these 5 information, again, don't go into micro level, go into the macro level first, and the staff will realize it's so important to use it now. They will not live without it then.
So what we are understanding here is that there are 2 or 3 key factors that we have to, level it out when it comes to building and, internally change or reinvent our organizations. Transparency being one of the helm of the areas wherein it is very critical to the business. And with the new era which is going to get developed post COVID-19, it is going to be one of the key areas wherein not only transparency, tracking of your teams, and then knowing people how to get them together on one single interface where each of them are talking to each other. People, as the technology, a lot of automation is coming in. So a lot of things will come into play wherein the first thing, it comes to the fact that the management gives in a pure, buyout with the fact that, yes, we are going ahead and we're implementing this kind of technology or tools which are required to build the organizations internally, wherein people can communicate and they can track, and management from the top can oversee on a macro level as to what things are going on. So it's a great product being shared by Sanjoy. Web TNA
One sec, Sonil, I have one more question actually. I would ask Kevin this.
Yeah.
Today, it's very common in the industry to work with 2 dates always. Huh? One internal, one for the buyer. It's a standard practice. And sometimes it's almost absurd because nobody believes it anymore. So, and Parmarth talked about buyer transparency. Do you think the time has come that people can seriously start talking about it, to actually do it, to actually have one date which is common to all, and actually allow your buyers into your TNA? You think that we have evolved so far and we are going to?
So that is the easier part. You missed one very essential part of the chain, which is the supplier. So it's not so much the buyer is easy to handle. You tell the buyer that whatever I put onto my system is 10 days short of the actual delivery date. It's the supplier that is more important, and it's the supplier that's very hard to buy into, because every supplier, as a buying agent, every supplier always believes that you have more time in hand, number one. Number two, every supplier, and if you manage to give them some additional time because of these dates that you're manipulating, whether it's whether it's on a transferred LC, whether it's a date you give him on the purchase order or whatever it might be, he always believes that you can do it. And if you do it once or twice, then he believes in perpetuity that you always have that kind of time at hand. The fact is that we work with huge inefficiencies in the supply chain right up and down. So that is the biggest problem. The biggest problem starts right from the delivery, let's say, of gray fabric to the processor to the factory to the shop floor, the shop floor to eventual once the goods are made up. So it's really hard. The thing is that it depends on the kind of buyer that you work with. If you're working with a corporate buyer, if you're working with the ones like Parmarth works with the Walmarts and so on and so forth, even if you give them access to your systems, I don't think these dates are even relevant to the buyers, or they even have time to be involved in this. They want the goods on the date that they wanted. For the smaller buyers, it's easier to handle them because you're either dealing with ownership or close to ownership, which means you're dealing with, let's say, the GM or some senior buyer in the organization. There it may be easier to handle with a buyer, but the complications of how you motivate or incentivize or threaten your vendor, I mean, to use all these three words in the right perspective, it becomes very, very, very complicated. And the fact is that the industry, by and large, let's say 90% of the industry being small, very small and medium-sized manufacturers with, anything from, let's say, 50 to 500 or 800 workers, it becomes very hard because the kind of mentality as Indians have, chal jayega, ho jayega, it'll happen tomorrow, it'll happen day after, don't worry, it's always been like this. That kind of thing, yes, there's no harm trying to initiate change. There's no harm trying to open up, be more transparent. Your buyer's watching, so you have all three of them on the link saying that it's open to the vendor and it's open to the buyer. That interactive kind of situation might help. But, the pace that we at least in this country, change or try to change, it's very, very slow, and it will be very, very slow. But it may be an idea worth trying, put all three on the same platform.
So anything that Pramat would like to share here? You had a question to Pramat also.
I had a question. Who had a question to me?
I think Sanjoy was wanting to ask you something. But nevertheless, there are a lot of questions which are coming in from the panelists, and we'll just quickly hop onto this question. So before we go on to the question, I would like you guys to experience one more tool. So we just experienced WebTNA as one of the tools which can help you build the organizations internally. Now, while the new era which we are looking at, we're looking at faster deliveries and faster things, and doing things in a much more quicker manner. Here from Sotex, we are just sharing with you another concept. I hope my screen is there in front of you. This is to do with digitized sourcing. Digitized sourcing is coming out as a new thing in the coming era. Though it has been there in the past, wherein you guys must have experienced concepts of sourcing from platforms like India Mart or Trade India or Alibaba. But when it comes to an industry-specific platform, Sotex has just built up a very industry-focused niche platform where people can log on, they can see things together. And how we built it up is there was as we go on to post-COVID-19 scenario, there will be problems as to where to find new opportunities. So here on one single interface, which you can connect as a manufacturer to both buyer also and to supplier also. As a buyer, you can connect with manufacturer also and supplier also. And as a supplier, you can connect with both buyer also and manufacturer also. So digitized sourcing is just one of the key areas that will come when you're looking out for reducing your travel timelines, your production timeline, sorry. So at this, if you see what we have done is a very, very simple interface wherein a sourcing which can be done at any point of time, 365 days, sitting at any corner of the world, wherever you are. Simply just go on to an inquiry section on the dashboard of Sotex, put in your details, which is more based on the category, subcategory, and the other filters which are required. And the moment you post it, it goes to multiple suppliers based on those subcategories. And the moment you share your inquiry, the inquiry gets listed as part of your particular information as to how you can map it. In case if you want to make any edits, any changes to your inquiry, that option is available. And people don't call you up. People just give you a reverse. They give you a detailing of their prices, TNA, deliveries, all on the phone. So Parmarth was just mentioning about the fact there is a platform that industry would seek out to the fact that going forward, we need to map up the efficiencies. We need to map up our buyers also and the suppliers also. So this is an interesting tool which we are just sharing with you, which is part of the digitized sourcing. So through the digitized sourcing, you can connect to thousands of suppliers across India and China. The other option, what people can do is, if you are a manufacturer or a supplier, you can go onto the app and you can see what are the open inquiries available in your particular category. So one side, you can just create those filters. You can just see if there is an opportunity. If you are a fabric supplier, what are the opportunities available in the fabric side? If you are a button supplier, what are the opportunities for the button suppliers? Similarly, if you are a garment manufacturer, what kind of options are available for the garment manufacturer? If you are a women's garment manufacturer, what kind of open opportunities are there? So when I say open opportunities, is there a buyer who is looking for such vendors from India or from particular region? So those kind of opportunities are available to you on the app itself. On the right hand side, you can see also there are stock options. So we know that post COVID-19, it's not going to be a good scenario wherein there will be a lot of orders which are going to be cancelled, goods getting stuck in the pipelines, raw materials which are not being going to be used because they was procured for a specified particular order, or the raw material which was in the pipeline being shipped from the fabric mill to the garment factory, and by the time it reaches now, the orders are going to get cancelled or maybe are on hold. So what do you do with all those kind of materials? So you can just put in your details here in the stock section, and as a buyer, you can explore what are the stocks available. So it gives you a lot of opportunity to connect with the complete value chain. So as a buyer, you can connect with the garment and the home furnishing manufacturers. The home furnishing manufacturers can connect to the fabrics and trim machinery manufacturers. They can further downside connect to the bottom of the pyramid, which is the allied services, which is supporting the complete textile supply chain. So on one single interface, you can connect to small, medium, and large companies, all put together in one single interface. And at the same time, various people from your organizations can use it, whether it is your business heads, sourcing heads, merchandisers, suppliers, designers, anybody to everybody who is part of this particular, who have the access to the app, they can look for it. At this point of time, we are just touching one tool what Sotex offer, which is the buyer and the supplier engagement and the real-time interactions. But there are other tools which we also offer, which is relation to the design management, idle capacity, stock liquidation, and option to connect with the complete industry for the capacity. So Pramat was also mentioning about the fact that how do you work on the capacity side? So if there is a fabric supplier and you want to know his capacity based in Erode, or is it in HL Kalanji, or is based out of Ludhiana, wherever you want, you can look out for idle capacity based on what your requirements are. They can be verified, they can be non-verified bias, all are available on the platform. Right now, the platform is about 5,000 plus companies that are there across South Asia, and we span from brands to allied services, all who are connected to the supply chain. So at this point of time, I would just quickly sum up this tool. The membership is available. It's a free membership. At this point of time, we are offering it's a trial membership. These are the set of phone numbers. You can reach out to us from different geographies, and the email ID and a contact number, which is to go with that. You may also download the website, or you can also download the app from both the App Store as well as the Play Store. So I would just like to go back to the conversation here and go back to the panelists, wherein there were some interesting questions which we had, shared with you. Just on, before I go on to the question, if there is anything which is in relation to Sotex app that anybody has any question to it, any of the panelists, because most of the panelists may not be aware of Sotex as to what it does. Yeah, Pramat.
Sonal, I want to ask, how do you review your suppliers or the people who are there on the website? Is there a review system there? And if there is one, are you making sure that it is an honest review and it's not a fake one?
So what we do is we go through series of verifications. The moment a person gets registered with us, we do initial background check of knowing about the company, knowing his profile and what business area that he works on with, and what kind of certifications or validations that he is doing in. The people who share those details with us, we profile them and we keep it in the database, and this database is accessible to all our members. The moment there is any additional scope of engagement which happens, so we may not say ki if there is a company like JCT, they are one of the best companies in India at this point of time, but everybody has their own perception as to how they should look to it. So our way of certification or verification is that we let our users put their ratings to the customers. They can rate their customers, they can rate their suppliers. Similarly, the suppliers can rate their customers. So all this kind of review system is possible on our platform. The reviews are open to the members. And at the same time, we also go with a very unique concept called testimonials. So in case, if you have worked with a buyer, do ask for a testimonial. If you have worked with a supplier, do give him a testimonial. So the number of testimonials becomes a validation process, which we share to the people who like to know about their vendor base or the buyer side. So that is one way of understanding how a buyer or a supplier would be. Rest of the review sections are open. You as a buyer or as a user of the platform, you can put a reviews, post the transactions, both for your buyer side also and for supplier side also, which is available for the members to have a look into. And any other questions from any other panelists so that we can go on to the next series of questions? Okay, I have some questions being shared with me since the beginning. So there was a question from Yes Fashion House. We do an embroidery job work. So my question is, how do we increase our production and motivate our workers for doing a better production? So I would expect Dr. Rajesh Bheda to answer, because this is a supply chain, an SME, which is going to be looking for similar set of solutions. And as you want the complete supply chain to come together to support the industry. So, I would say, what is your opinion when you want to give out to suppliers like this?
See, so there can be generic answer to this, which can be applicable to other enterprises as well, and they can be specific. So one option is that they need to get trained, or they need to improve their understanding of what is called 7 waste. there are 7 types of waste in lean principles. If they attend a 2-hour training program or see some videos, they will understand where all the wastages come in their business. Based on that, they need to look at their activities and figure out which are the wasteful activities that can be taken out, which they can do together or they can do with the expert advice, people like us, somebody else. And by that, they will know that if we are able to eliminate these 5, 6, 7, 8 things out of our activities, we will be able to be much more compact, which will be able to be faster in responding to our customer. And as a result, our productivity will be higher, our cost will be lower. So being open to evaluate, understanding what a waste is, having courage to call it waste, and then working on relentless to eliminate the waste is a process to go through. They can use online resources, they can learn through books, or otherwise they can find a mentor who can guide them. And the same approach applies to any organization, which is measure the baseline performance, work out a goalpost where you want to go to, find out what the impediments are, where we are slipping behind, have an action plan to be implemented, implement it in a nimble-footed manner, and reward people as a result of the progress. So that is a kind of a generic approach which can be applied to any enterprise. And more than that, they will have to have a specific either mentor or learn on their own through web and try to implement. They will get results. Yeah, as long as they're interested, they will get results.
Okay. So we have some interesting, some of these questions been taken up on our upcoming webinars, which we can also look on to this. But at this point of time, Mr. Nitin Mohan, can you share some light as to what is same or a similar set of, you have smaller companies who are part of your vendor base, wherein you have garment, apart from the apparel and the home textile vendors, you also have a lot of fabric and the other set of vendors who are in touch with you. What you would like to share to them? If there is anything particular which you like to say for a smaller companies, how can they increase their production and motivate the employees for better efficiencies? Especially for the smaller vendors, I am pointing out this question out.
I think Mr. Dr. Bheda has already given input there, and me not being from the manufacturing at all, wouldn't be. I mean, just motivate your guy. There's so much time now. Talk to them. Take them out. Take them out for a outing. Take them. For a small trip. Make them bond together. These are things which are required in manufacturing side also. So, maybe you're already doing it. Do it in a different way. I mean, again, machine and all, I won't be able to give much input there. But other than, you need to motivate them for the lean period. Training is a great option. Learning where the flaws are, like the formula Dr. Bheda just explained. So just find out the flaws, find out the shortcomings, and make them, give them some pride that production is the key. We have to move forward as a nation, and we have to motivate them that way. I mean, manufacturing again, I am not my field, so I won't be able to give much input there.
Okay, so I then would like to take this question with Pramat Kapoor. Pramatji, what is your opinion about this? You handle a large set of workforce. How do you keep your labor force more engaged and motivated?
It's a large workforce, and money drives the world. Yeah, money keeps them motivated. I'll put it as simple as that.
Okay.
It's not more complicated.
So while money is not going to be an easy tool that we can adopt for upcoming days, that we can all see that, what is the other option that we can look for now?
There are two. The money is the short-term, incentive, and the long-term incentive is growth. If people see opportunity beyond what their current situation is, that makes a difference. I mean, you can phrase it any way you want, and you can paint a very fancy picture, but at the bottom of it, like Parmarth said, number one, it's all about the money. Number two, it's about opportunity. So people will work if they see a reward in two ways: money and growth.
We are almost nearing the end of our webinar. With the permission of panelists, is there a possibility we can extend this session for by another 10 or 15 minutes? We have 2-3 very important questions which we would like to share, which we like to ask you.
Carry on.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll have to drop off because I have to make a call to a buyer about some money. So
Okay.
All the best to you.
yeah,
Okay.
very much.
Thank you so much for coming and participating in this panel. Thank you so much, Mr. Kevin.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you, Kevin.
Bye-bye.
Sonal, you'll have to excuse me also. I've also got another Zoom call happening. I'm already late for it here. So
Okay. Thank you so much, Nitinji. Sorry, Pramatji.
Thanks, buddy. All the
Thanks,
best.
Kevin. Thanks,
Thank you.
Pramat.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I have a question from Mr. Pulkit Jain. He's asking a question on how often do you think the employees' development needs to be assessed, and what are the analyses that lead to some sort of uncalled for competition within the workforce?
I can tell you about the first part. Normally, we should have a QBR, a quarterly review. And again, I'm not the right guy to give input on, normally we follow a quarter system. Everybody is reviewed every quarter and is given their weak points and their strong points, and they are asked to improve on their negatives.
Okay. So
the second
apart
part,
from
I
this,
won't go into.
Sanjoy, you have developed a very interesting scorecard mechanism. How does do you think this kind of mechanisms can also work for SMEs also, for smaller units which are not into apparel or were doing apparel but have not incorporated such things? Do you think such kind of software, your web TNA, will be a useful tool for them as well?
See, anywhere you have a process, right? You're actually doing process management. What is workflow? What is TNA? It is managing your processes. So anywhere there's a process, which most businesses are process oriented, you can measure it, you can manage it, you can score it based on the performance across processes. And that is what amazes me about the use of Excel. I mean, though everybody, it's so easy to use, but across years, you use Excel, you make the same mistakes every year. Your learning is absolutely zero, right? Nobody actually pays attention to that. Wonder what Dr. Bheda has to say about that. But I've come across companies that have the same mistakes, the same problems, the same stress for the last 10 years, for the last 15 years. There's zero learning.
Understand. Let me just share, a young boy's it's a story in Marathi. I come from Maharashtra. So the young boy says that, to the elder, that because you've seen 20 rainy seasons, that's what your experience. That doesn't mean anything. That only means that there is more mud on your trouser. There's more mud on your shoes because you've seen so many rainy seasons. So many times we say 20 years of experience is 1 year of learning multiplied by 20. That can be the risk. That need not be the reality with everybody. And now, so what is important is with Excel also, you can do great amount of learning and develop tools which are very, very good. There is a limitation. You can't compare Excel with a ERP. The desire to learn, desire to improve, and a direction from the top management to really drive performance, measure performance, regularly review it, is what makes the difference, regardless of what system you use. And with the new technologies and ease of accessing the solutions with apps and so on, the solutions are now becoming affordable. Earlier the sort of upfront investment used to be very high, so they're prohibitive for the SMEs. But now they will be quite easy. They are easy to access. What Sanjoy has offered, what Sotex has offered, what our other partners are offering, are very low entry barrier. So as long as people understand, why should I do it? What is in it for me? How does it make my life easy? As long as these questions we're able to answer, and how difficult it is to get on this bandwagon. That 4 questions answered, people will be happy to come. And exceptions, we should keep them out. I think that should be possible. So I've seen some excellent use of Excel, and I've also seen people making mistakes.
I see people, the typical TNA they have in Excel, they have the picture, they have the data in one line. And because of the picture, you can't do any sorting, you can't do any analysis. So where is the analysis? Zero.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
So that's where the new solutions come into picture. They're versatile. You can do all kinds of things. That's great.
Yeah.
We need to move. We need to prepare people and move there.
See, as you rightly pointed out on one important factor in this is there are the new age tools which have come out, and yes, whether it is Sotex tool to connect outward to both the industry side, whether it's on the buying or the supplying side, or it is a web TNA which connects you internally and let all your people get mapped as to on their daily work performances and their daily activities and step-by-step approach of as to how your orders are going. Ultimately, the idea is to build up the efficiencies, how your people are going out there, what they are doing, how effectively you can use them, because at this point of time we all are at a situation where we know that there is no clear-cut future for the industry which is in front of us. And yes, the more polished we are internally, the more efficient we are by connecting internally with our teams as well as externally with our buyers and suppliers. That is going to give us an edge to move forward. And that is the focus that we are kind of developing through this kind of knowledge series. Because most of the people that there are softwares, the reason of asking the tools and softwares are, majority of the people do know that there is only one single workflow, and that they call it as the Excel. Because of the fact that this was something which they've used it in the schools, they continue to use it, and it is easier to create a draft and store it. That's why they just stick to that one model. But if there is somebody who can give them a comprehensive look of what is happening around their organization in terms of their orders, in terms of their delivery processes, in terms of what their other team members are doing, and how we can combine them together as part of the workflow, which is internal. And then if there is an option to connect on both the sides. So that is the kind of technologies which we are looking at in discussion through this team. We also have one very interesting question which have come in, which is not completely related, but I'm still sharing it with the panel here. We are talking about the internal processes and how to compete with the other countries. If there is a graduation process from being a small enterprise to a medium or to a large enterprise, how should they transit in adopting these tools and methods? So, to the panel first. Can I take this question with Mr. Nitin? Nitin ji, you have built up this complete vertical on technology in Triberg. And we have grown seeing Triberg being the office at Danpur to now.
I lost the audio. Can you ask some other panelists first? Then
yes.
After the answer, I'll figure out.
Okay, so I would then go to Dr. Bheda to answer this because we have two more panelists who have dropped out.
This question is basically Binu is asking that what about competing with other countries?
Yes.
Okay. So basically we have to see, it depends on what kind of product you are in, and then you have to see what competition you're facing right now. Yeah. What value are you offering and how can you maximize your value? So if you have your existing customers, try to understand from them, what do they think of your performance? Where do they think there's a scope for improvement? And so you have your performance, you have your competitors, understand where they are scoring strongly than you, and get honest feedback from your customer. And based on that, you can work out an action plan. So you can't compete with price in today's world, especially in India. So you must have a better value proposition and offer a service to your customer, which your customer values. So being customer focused, understanding from customer where they would like to see you improve your performance and really working on that can help you build your competitiveness. You will have to understand what your competition is doing and how you can be much better than them. That is what is going to be my simple answer to this question. This at the enterprise level, understand your competition, understand what your customer wants. How can you give more value? Can you offer something that your customer hasn't dreamt? Can you, through a service offering, really make your customer very, very happy that he or she comes back to you again and again? That is what is in a nutshell answer.
That's a very good suggestion, and I would say a great suggestion is the fact that go back to your customer and ask them how they feel about you as a company and what kind of value proposition you can bring on to them on the table. As to, you rightly pointed out the fact that as a country, India, we are not a price competitive country anymore, and due to whatever challenges that we have, yes, there are tools that we can look out to cut out on our cost, look out and build more efficiencies. But as a selling on the side, there is a great time to build up the relationship both with your buyers as well as with your suppliers. So I would like to just, before I switch over to the other question, can I ask an opinion from Mr. Nitin Mohan? Would you like to give your opinion, sir?
I just want to add what Mr. Bheda said was absolutely right. What I want to add is that, creativity is what will take us forward. It doesn't have to be a design creativity. It can be in any area. It can be on production. It can be on textile. Creativity which India is, we get customer only because of creativity. We have got some accounts just because of the creativity and the innovation, the use of 3D, the use of technology. We started Scan Pack way back in 2001. That got us business. It was nothing to do with anything, but it was creativity that let us give buyer Scan Packed goods. And it became a culture. So it can be in any area. So creativity is what you should focus, what you are good at. Like Mr. Bheda said, customer knowledge, know your customer, innovation, everything helps. And this is what I'm adding.
Just a last question to this interesting conversation. There is a question from Mr. Akash Gupta where he's asked which tools are which tools are the most important, or the ones that can be used by textile SMEs to do process automation. Dr. Bheda, would you like to give your insight? What are the most important tools or the friendly tools for SMEs? I'm sure Sotex and WebTNA can be a great tool for them, considering it's a low-cost way to test the technology. Other than that, if you have any other or any other good suggestions for the industry at large.
Yeah, I agree with you. And we've seen these two tools which are quite good. Keep your eyes open, do your research, and when you go to the websites, look at the user reviews, and you'll get to know what all is available. When you say textile SME, it's very difficult to understand what specific business are you in. Are you producing yarn? Are you a dyer? Are you a printer or an embroiderer or a garment manufacturer? So it's very difficult to figure out. But yes, look around, look for references from your colleagues in the industry, which works good for them. Try to find case studies and just simply figure out what are the wasteful activities in your organization and work on eliminating those. You will get a lot of improvement. You'll make tremendous amount of improvement. Just focus on that and get your team trained on those principles.
Thank you so much for this insight, Dr. Bheda and Dr. Nitinji, and to the rest of the panelists who have just logged out. We just towards the end of it, I would just like to share about the two upcoming webinars which we have on the 16th. The 16th webinar is how factory automation and technology can help you in reducing your R&D cost. And on 18th, we have another webinar which talks about how to digitize your business and build online presence for your next phase of growth. So these are another set of two very, very interesting topics which can be, addressed, and in more detail, we would have a very set of interesting panel coming on board. Dr. Bheda joins us again on our webinar, our next webinar, which is on the 16th. Along with that, we have Mr. Habibur Rahman, who was part of our earlier webinar. He comes and talks about how a factory can be graduated to a smart factory 4.0 system. And then we can also look for another technology option, which has been offered by Tukatech, which is into 3D print, 2D and 3D designing, which is sampling and methods, which is another cost-effective way. And out now, I think they're coming out with some huge advantage and offers for the industry at large. So it will be very interesting to come to go and have a look at those webinars on that discussion on 16th. At this point of time, I would thank all my, all the attendees and the panelists who have spared their valuable time and joined us on this webinar. We continue to strive on the fact that whatever questions you have raised with us, if some of these questions which we felt were relevant on today's topic, we have just taken up here. There are certain questions which are going to be more relevant in our upcoming seminar series. That is where we'll be sharing those questions with the right set of, at the right time with the available panelists. And I'm sure we will continue to give value back to the industry. At this point of time, I would like to thanks once again for sparing out your time and giving your valuable time with us. We would be sharing a small feedback form to everyone of you who are participating in this webinar. Please let us know what we can do and how we can improvise ourselves. As Sotex, we are also doing this kind of webinars for the first time. So this happens to be a third webinar though, but still we are all in the learning stage. So if there is anything that we missed out or any questions that we have not been able to cover up in this particular limited time span that we had, we will try and accommodate these questions in our upcoming webinar series. We also intend to start to take up these same set of topics again post we finish our current set of sessions, which is from 16th to 18th. Post this, we have another session on 16th and 18th, and thereafter we will again take up this valuable topics, and we will see if we can address some of the concerns which we have not been able to address today. So on this final note, I would like to say goodbye and thank you to all our esteemed panelists for giving us valuable time.